Hello, in this video we're looking at sigma notation and specifically how we can use sigma notation to find the sum of an arithmetic series. So if you look at the question here, it says find the value of this. So here in the middle we have our sigma symbol, which means the sum of a series. Below and above we have our limits. So we want to find the sum from when r equals 0, r is 1, r is 2, r is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So all of those terms. And then this bit here is the formula of how we find the terms. So whenever you're given a question like this, the best thing to do first is to actually write out what the terms are. So write out the first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Write out the terms, and then find out what sort of pattern or what sort of sequence it is. And if it's arithmetic, you can find A and D. If it's geometric, you can find A and R. And occasionally it will be something more complicated and it won't be either of those groups. But you still need to write out the terms so that you can find out what the pattern is. So if we do that here, we can say we've got our values of R, and we've got the values of 5R plus 1. So let's just do that like this. So R starts off at 0. Yeah. And then for 5R plus 1, we do 5 times 0, which is 0. Add 1, that's just 1. The next value of R is 1, because R is going to increase 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Whereas 5R plus 1, when you put 1 in there, it'd be 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. For 2, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. When we put 3 in there, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So we don't really have to do all the terms, but it would continue like that. So if we look at our pattern here, this is either multiplying by 6 or adding 5. And then this one is adding 5 again, and so on. So the pattern for this arithmetic sequence is you add 5 each time. And remember, there's going to be 7 terms in total. A really common thing to get mixed up on is that R here is, well, R starts at 0 and goes to 6. So there's actually 7 terms in total there. So if we want to find the sum of that sequence, we now don't really worry about this notation up here. We now just imagine we've got an arithmetic sequence, 1, 6, 11, 16, and so on, and we want to find the sum of the first 7 terms. So we just use the sum formula for an arithmetic series. And we know that A, our first term, is 1. We know that D, our common difference, is 5, that's what we're adding each time. And we know that N, the number of terms, is 7. So we just plug these into this formula. So we would say that the sum of the first 7 terms is 7 over 2. And then in brackets, we have 2 times A, and A is just 1. So 2 times 1 plus N, which is 7, minus 1 times D, which is 5. So we got that. Then we simplify that a bit. So 7 over 2 is 3.5. I mean, you could leave it as a fraction. I just prefer to put it in decimals. And then 2 plus 7 minus 1 is 6, times 5 is 30. So that. So then S of 7 equals 3.5 times 32. So 32 times 3 would be 96. Add the 16 is 112. And just check that on a calculator. 3.5 times 32, 112. So the sum of these 7 terms is 112. So you could literally up here, you say that this whole thing equals 112. And that's it. So the key thing to take away really is just to, whenever you see this, write out what the first few terms are. So then it just becomes a normal arithmetic or geometric sequence, and you apply all the same logic of how you find the sum as we were doing in the previous videos. So I hope that all makes sense. If you have any questions, let us know down in the FAQ. And otherwise, have a go at the questions. And I'll see you next video. Thanks.